My fiancé cheated with my brother 2 weeks before our wedding, and my parents support them. I never thought my life would turn into some bad soap opera, but here we are. Just 2 weeks ago, I was finalizing wedding plans, excited to marry the woman I thought was my soulmate. Now, I'm sitting here, staring at what should have been our wedding invitations, wondering how the hell everything fell apart so fast. I found out that Sarah, my fiancée, has been cheating on me with my own brother for 6 months. The betrayal, the lies, the absolute destruction of trust. It's all too much. And to top it off, my parents are actually asking me to forgive them. How it all started. Sarah and I had been together for 5 years. We met in college, fell madly in love, and slowly built what I thought was a strong, healthy relationship. She was my best friend, my rock, my future. We went through so much together, and I truly believed we were ready to take this next step. Then there was Mike, my older brother. We were close growing up, but he always had a competitive streak. He had this way of turning everything into a challenge, and even as adults, I always felt like he saw me as the little brother he had to one-up. I never thought he would go this far. The night everything fell apart. A couple of nights ago, my best man, Jake, called me. Dude, I don't know how to tell you this, but I saw Sarah with your brother. I laughed at first. Yeah, okay. Doing what? Jake was quiet for a second. Then he said, making out. The air left my lungs. What? Where? At his apartment. I stopped by to drop something off, and when he opened the door, Sarah was standing behind him. I thought it was weird, but I didn't think anything of it until I went to the kitchen for a beer and saw them. Full on making out. Dude, I got out of there so fast. My stomach twisted into knots. I told Jake I had to go and hung up. I sat there, staring at the wall, trying to convince myself that he must have seen wrong. There had to be another explanation, right? There wasn't. The confrontation. I told Sarah I had to work late and drove straight to Mike's house. His car was in the driveway. So was Sarah's. I sat there in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding so hard I could barely think. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe she's just dropping something off. Maybe. Then I saw it. Her silhouette in his bedroom window. My hands were shaking as I knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Finally, my brother opened it, looking like a deer caught in headlights. And that's when I heard her voice behind him. Who is it, babe? Babe. My heart actually stopped. Then Sarah came into view. Her face went white when she saw me. The excuses were even worse. At first, nobody said anything. They just stood there, caught. Then Sarah started crying. It's not what it looks like, she sobbed. I actually laughed. A short, hollow, broken laugh. Really? Because it looks like my fiancé is sleeping with my brother. Mike tried to step forward. Look, man, I didn't mean for this to happen. That's when I lost it. You didn't mean for this to happen? How the hell do you accidentally sleep with your brother's fiancé? Sarah kept crying. I love you, I swear. It was a mistake. A mistake that's been happening for how long? Silence. Then Mike muttered, 6 months. I felt physically sick. 6 months. Half a year. While we were planning our wedding. While she was saying yes to my proposal, picking out her dress, writing her vows. I just shook my head, turned around, and left. The fallout. The wedding? Cancelled. Venue, dress, deposits? Gone. Sarah tried calling me nonstop for days, sending long paragraphs about how she regretted it, how it meant nothing, how she was just confused. I didn't respond. Then my parents got involved. And this is where things get even worse. My parents took their side. I told my parents everything, expecting them to be furious at Mike. But instead, you can't let this ruin your relationship with your brother. Family is forever. Sarah made a mistake, but you loved her once. Can't you work through it? Mike feels awful. Don't throw away your bond over a girl. I stared at them in complete disbelief. You expect me to just forgive them? Honey, people make mistakes. I had to leave. I couldn't stand being in the same room as them. Mike still hasn't apologized. Not once. Not even a text. Final thoughts. I've lost my fiancé. I've lost my brother. And now, I feel like I've lost my family. All because they think his betrayal isn't worth ruining our bond over. Well, I have news for them. Mike and Sarah deserve each other. And as for me, I'll be moving forward, alone, without any of them. Because if family is forever, then it damn well should have meant something to them too. Update. My fiancé and brother got married, and my parents expected me to attend. Well, it finally happened. My brother and ex-fiancé got married. And if you think that's the craziest part, nope, it gets worse. My parents actually expected me to attend, and when I refused, they called me petty and immature. Let's rewind a bit. The aftermath of the betrayal. After catching Sarah and Mike together, I went no contact with both of them. I cut off Sarah completely and barely spoke to my parents because they kept trying to guilt-trip me into forgiving my only brother. For months, my mother would randomly text me, "You need to move on. It's time to put the past behind you. Mike and Sarah are really happy together, and we'd love for you to support them." Every time I got one of these messages, I had to remind myself that these people were supposed to be my family, but they made it very clear whose side they were on. Then, about 6 months ago, I got the bombshell text from my dad. "Hey son, I wanted to tell you before you heard it from someone else. Mike and Sarah are getting married. They really hope you'll be there." I laughed out loud, like a full-on maniacal laugh. They expect me to sit there and watch my ex-fiancé walk down the aisle to my own brother? Absolutely not. The wedding invitation drama. I ignored the text, but my mom wasn't going to let it go. She called me 2 days later, acting all sweet and fake cheerful. "Honey, I know this is hard for you, but family is forever. It would mean the world to Mike if you could be there." I almost dropped my phone. Mean the world to him? MOM. He's marrying my ex-fiancée. Her response? "But that's in the past, sweetheart. Don't let bitterness ruin our family." I was done. Absolutely done. You want me to come to the wedding of the woman I was supposed to marry? To my own brother? How do you not see how messed up that is? And then, my dad chimed in with the ultimate guilt trip. "If you don't come, people will talk. It'll look bad on the family." Look bad on the family? Oh, so now they care about how things look? But when my brother stabbed me in the back, that was totally fine. I told them both very clearly, I will never support them. And if you keep pushing this, you won't hear from me again. Then I hung up. The wedding day. The wedding happened last weekend. I wasn't there, obviously. Instead, I spent the day with some real family, aka my best friends, who have actually been supportive throughout this whole nightmare. But guess what? I still got all the gossip. Apparently, my parents were embarrassed because people kept asking where I was. My aunt, who's on my side, even said my mom had to fake smile through the whole thing because guests kept whispering. Mike and Sarah tried to act like they were the perfect couple, but guess what? Not everyone was on board with their little fairy tale romance. Some of my extended family didn't show up out of protest. Some of Mike's own friends apparently think he's a backstabbing piece of trash. And the best part? Sarah looked miserable the whole time. Multiple people told me she had this forced, awkward smile, like she knew half the people in that room were judging her. And now the aftermath. After the wedding, my mom sent me one final guilt trip text. "You missed a beautiful day. I hope one day you can forgive your brother. We still love you." I left her on read. I'm done. Done with them. Done with all of it. The way I see it, Mike and Sarah deserve each other. And as for me, I may have lost a fiancé and a brother, but at least I've gained clarity. I now know who my real family is, and it sure as hell isn't them.